Well, for what it is, it actually turned out really well. Okay, so I opted for some ATF for 2 reasons. One, it's kind of a detergent oil, so it's got a lot of cleaners in it, so it'll help take care of some of this stuff as it runs through. And 2, it's the only thing I had on the shelf. Okay, let's see how poorly this goes. Goes nothing. She's legal. Kind of. On paper, she's legal. So, I'm not going to put these on anytime soon, but we'll throw them up there in the window. So, boom. Rough. Makes sense. Let's try that. Does that help our situation here? We're in park. Bingo! Let's watch that oil pressure light. Holy crap. Did you guys hear that? That thing cranked over on its own for the first time in 20 years. And it sounded okay. I just heard it puke up a bunch of fluids. I just cranked it over again. I just heard it puke up some fluid. Oh God, trans fluid. Uh-oh. So the trans pump's spinning. I need to combine these 2 lines together. So that's cool. Good to know that works. So the trans pump built pressure too. Double good news. That's really good news. That's really good news too. So, holy crap. Okay, I need to actually cap those off before I forget again. Let me get, how do I want to do it? Like a piece of metal line, and we'll just kind of put them together for now. That's what I'll do. Oh my God. Okay, so I just got the serpentine belt on. Oh, I gotta see it slipping off the power steering. I don't have it all the way on that. So I'm gonna adjust that. But my plan is here, I gotta use one of the pulleys to hold the crank pulley so I can tighten that down to 112 foot-pounds. But we're getting the belt on anyway. Did I already tighten that? It's torqued to 112, so what I did is I got a bolt off the alternator and it was already cranked down. Maybe I ran it down with an impact? I don't know, it's tight. So we're good. Okay. Anyway, that's how you do that right there. That was the easiest way I found to hold that. Otherwise, serpentine belt's all on there. It looks like it's okay. Let me shut the heater off and we'll crank it over with the serpentine belt hooked up. And we'll just see if we notice anything weird. I put a bolt in that hose to maybe just hold it for now. I gotta go get a tube for that. I gotta get an oil filter wrench, because who knows if that's coming off. No way that's coming off by hand. And then I gotta get an oil pan, and we'll drain the oil. But I want to crank it with the serpentine belt hooked up, make sure we have no issues there. So. Hasn't burned down yet. I left power on. Bring a jump box out too. Come on, oil pressure. There it goes. No issues, so that's good. So, leave that battery hooked up for now. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna go get oil filter. It's definitely leaking fluid out of there. I'll get a pipe to kind of splice those together. These lines are rock hard. We'll just get something to splice the 2 together so it pumps fluid, in the system. And we'll get this oil changed real quick. And that'll be that. We're looking really good, actually. This is very good progress. I'm glad I figured out that starter ground, and I'm glad we knew that relay was bad. So, Or we figured that out, I suppose. It's starting to look promising. It's as interesting as this van is, and uniquely terrible. It's starting to look promising. Okay, that oil filter clearly was not happy to come off. We ended up puncturing it, getting it out, but it did come off, so that's cool. And naturally, it was, you know, obviously full of oil because, well, we had oil pressure, so that's good. Unfortunately, I need to clean that oil pan out again, which is annoying. And I don't know what to. Well, I guess it leaked out everything it was gonna. So here, we'll just set him over here for now. Yeah, that's beautiful. Anyway, it's off, so that's cool. I'm gonna drain the oil, and I'll let you know if we see anything fun. That's already soaked, so that's cool. Lots of fluids, great, beautiful. Get this all cleaned up here. Okay, new filter's up there. As you can see, it's dated and miles. I managed to break the oil plug free. It's a 17 mil 6-point socket with a 1/2-inch breaker bar. And it's spinning out now. I figured try to bring you guys along here. Got to see this old oil, and it doesn't look that bad. It looks pretty good, actually. Any metal on the plug? I don't know if this is magnetic, but it looks fine. No sludge or anything. No water. Looks really good, actually. Looks like it needed an oil change. Which, if we judge by the sticker in the window that says 79.5, I think we're doing okay. Yeah, it looks fine. And I popped the oil cap off up top, and it looked like there was oil getting up to the rocker arms and stuff, so, or the valves, I should say. Up into the valve covers. How about that? No, oil looks good. I need to double check how much this will take to fill. I don't know if it's 4 or 5. It's probably 5. But we also put the bigger 51085 filter on there. That's what I run on everything. So that bad boy is up there, so it'll take a little extra as well. Like an extra quarter, whatever. Depending on what it's supposed to have. I don't know if that's the spec, but that's what I'm running. Yeah, it looks good. I don't see anything bad. I'm going to get it filled back up. And then we will crank it over and make sure we build oil pressure again. And, oh, also, up here, I'll show you here. Oh. There's our beautiful fix here for that, for now. So we don't lose any more trans fluid. But we're looking pretty good otherwise. But yeah, if you look in here, see oil? It looks like there's oil up there on the cam lobes. So that's very good. Alright, so it says it specs it takes 4.5. So does the 3.3. I always dump the full 5, especially with I'm using this bigger filter. Well, here's what came out of it. It did not have that much oil in it. It had like 3.5 quarts if you include the filter. So, but also we pumped some around, but also I let it all drain out. So what that probably tells me is that thing's a oil burning 3.0. Probably. Interesting. It definitely was way low on oil, I think. Well, but here's the thing. It was on the dipstick, I thought. So, let me wipe the dipstick off. Let me check the oil level, and then we'll crank it over, and we'll see if we get oil pressure back. Okay, it reads good on the dipstick. Let me crank it over. Let me hook the jump box up to it, and we'll crank it over. All right, hopefully we get good oil pressure here. We got to fill up that oil filter yet. And remember, it is kind of cold out. But that oil's kind of warm too because it was inside. So, all right. See how she cranks over with a good battery. About the same. Oh, there it goes. Now we got voltage. Alright, I don't know what was going on with the jump box, but we got voltage now. Come on. Oil pressure. I don't know what... There it goes. Okay, we got oil pressure. Good. Nice. All right, well, we're going to try put some gas down it just to see if it'll fire up, or just fire. I won't test and spark here. So here, I'm going to get by you.
I don't know how we're going to put it out if it pops. But...
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Just for shits and giggles, why not? All right. Ready?
Yeah, hopefully it pops.
It might be.
Stop.
Good oil pressure, though. Well, for what I can tell, the light goes off. And who knows with that intake if you can even get it down the right hole.
I'll open it up. Try it.
Here, I got an idea. Let's spray it down the fuel line and fill the rail. Because it might fire the injectors, you know what I mean? Because those are brand new injectors.
I'm going to do that.
Here, I'll show you the line. So, spray down that line. Just fill her up. Uh-oh, somebody kicked something.
No, you had something sitting.
Whatever, just fill the line up. It's fine. Should come out here if it fills up. Obviously, we don't have 40 pounds of pressure or whatever.
Does it got new injectors?
Yep, brand new injectors. I actually bought injectors for it. Believe it or not. Well, it's dripping out. Well, let's try it. Because it might just have enough to fill an injector or two. Because it's got to have pressure behind it in theory. But ready? Now then, you want to check for spark maybe? Because we got.
Well, now you got to put gas right now.
Well, that's good. That'll tell you if spark's working.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh, it's dumping that freaking trans fluid everywhere. I'm gonna grab this pan.
Why is it dumping trans?
Because I got the line here and it's leaking out around it. I just kind of got something on here to keep it from.
How are you going to check for spark?
Well, you gotta pull a plug and you freaking. I don't know, do whatever. Who knows what that?
You got no points in here? This looks like a point setup.
It's electronic ignition. It's got a new cap and rotor off a different vehicle that presumably ran. I mean, you could check it right off the coil.
No.
No spark?
Didn't see anything here.
Okay.
That would explain a lot.
Yeah, that would explain why it doesn't fire.
Should have popped.
So, that coil might not be any good.
Might not be. Not your only coil.
I got another one, but yeah.
It's got one coil.
Yeah, one big coil. On
This
Dizzy.
comes off though, right?
Yeah, what does this other coil look like? I have one on this other intake over here. Here's the other coil right here. I could try unbolt this so we could plug it in real quick and try it. Let me do that. I'll pull this coil off this old intake and we'll just plug it in. Who knows that coil's good? That could be why that other van was parked. That coil's bad. I have no idea. That van had 240,000.
Well, it's not like it's got to be. Well, maybe it's got to be grounded. I don't know, but
Well, it is. It's all hooked up. Who knows if my wiring's good? Who knows if that computer's telling it to spark? Maybe the ASD relay over there. Let me try one thing here. I'm going to swap these relays over like I was telling you guys, and we'll see if it comes to life. I don't trust those relays. All right, swap the relays over. Let's give that a shot. Maybe that helps. Watch this here. A fuel pump or something stupid now? Nope. Ready? Any spark? Nothing? No. Yeah, so I don't think we got spark. I got a plug here. We'll test this. I'm going to get that other coil out and ready. I don't think we got spark, which, hey, it's a good thing we tried this with the fuel thing. Obviously, we don't got good fuel pressure or whatever, but we definitely don't have spark, and we'll have to start looking into what could cause no spark, like on the ASD relay, all that stuff, or that whole circuit. So there could be one of these relays does something too. I don't recall off the top of my head. We'll have to look into it. But we got a motor that definitely cranks over, definitely has oil pressure. The trans pump definitely is working. I got a pan under there now, but my connection isn't that good, so it's leaking around that clamp.
Spark. Ooh, that's a pretty large gap.
It should be fine. You do whatever you want. I don't care what you do with that plug. And there's one way to fix the gap.
Well,
shouldn't be too close. That's like 50 thou.
I don't care.
All right, well, there you go.
I just want to see a spark. Go ahead.
You want to ground on the aluminum? I don't know if that'll work.
I'm on the bolt.
Well, it's all an aluminum casing. I don't know if it'll ground. I don't know, to be fair.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Watch it pop off. Not done.
Nothing? All right, let me swap the coil quick.
Sure that's a good plug.
It was pulled out of a running van, so.
Yeah, it was nothing.
Yeah, I'll swap this coil over there quick. That could be a bad coil.
It's a different coil.
Nope, same coil. It's the other. It's there, like that.
Okay, it might have to be grounded.
Well, I'll bolt it in quick. Give me like 5 minutes.
Can I take this wagon for a little bit?
Yeah, I don't need it. I just need it to haul tools out here, so you're good. You can have it. I'm gonna leave the tools out here. So this appears to be an OEM looking coil with probably 240,000 on it, and this is an OEM coil with 82,000 that looks really rough. But presumably this was working when it blew the timing belt. So we'll hook this one up. We'll see if that makes a difference. Otherwise, I'll have to start looking to see if we're getting, you know, proper voltages going to the coil. Should be a 12-volt signal, right? But I'll test that with a multimeter tomorrow or whenever I'm back out here. Okay, so I got our original coil back in. I also fixed this issue. You see how I had the wires routed really weird? And then I didn't have that bolt in, so I did that. So that's all bolted in properly. Let's find out. I think if I set it right here, I can see. I don't know if that's a good enough ground, though, to be fair. I have no idea. But let's try that. Otherwise, I'll go grab my dad and we'll have him try it, look again. But we'll try that right there. Maybe I'll hold the camera up and you can see it. I don't know. If I look right where I'm at, I should be able to see it. I don't think I see any spark. So I'll grab him, I'll have him verify. I don't think we have any spark. So that would make sense. So that could be a wiring issue from that. I don't remember if I repaired that harness or that plug specifically. Obviously it goes back to the computer. So who knows? Could have a plethora of issues. There could be something wrong with this cap and rotor too. Who knows? Or the wires. I doubt the wires are a problem, but you never know. So we'll find out. I'll let you know if we find anything else out here. I'll bring you back later. So I've done some testing. I had my, there it is down there, multimeter out. I checked power here. We only have 4 volts going to the coil, which would tell us no spark. That makes sense. Ground wire tested good. The positive wire is working clearly. I saw some resistance from here to there. I don't know what it should be through the ASD relay circuit, so that's probably our issue, something in the ASD relay circuit, but it could be this computer, which is technically, I guess, part of the circuit too. But I figure since it cranks over now, why don't we check codes, and maybe this will just tell me before I have to try research this and figure out diagnostic procedure. This will help clearly. So let's see if we can get any codes that tell us anything. So I'm going to boot this guy up, get him hooked up, and we'll run codes. We'll see what happens. Well, let's read codes. See if it's got anything. AIS motor circuit, code 25. What is that? That's the only code we've got in here. So let's... Code history, is there anything in here? No. Data stream. What do you got in here now? And so here's the other thing I noticed. We don't have a check engine light that flashes up. I don't know. I assume there's supposed to be one that flashes. Clearly, we don't have anything. So, coolant temp 3 volts. That makes sense. 37 degrees. Spark advance. We're getting 11.6 battery volts. See if I can see the engine crank over. How about that? Yep, it can see it. Good. So that's good to see. We're running out of battery volts. Good. That's good news. So let's read codes again. AIS motor circuit. What is that? Let me double check and figure out what that is. Idle air control valve, duh. So something's wrong with the idle air control circuit. That's okay. I think we had that code last time. So here's a good test. I turned the auto shutdown relay circuit. I'm testing it. And if you listen, it's this middle relay. And he's clicking. So that is working, by the way. So that's good news, I think. So I think it comes off this ASD relay. Also, I noticed a chewed wire right here. So something I missed right there. Is that little chew mark in that wire. Now, that means that's working. I think that at least the relay's good. We've got a green and a white. So guess which wire's chewed? The freaking green one. What does that mean? I don't quite know, but... Well, I guess that goes into the cab, doesn't it? No, because it could go down there and go to there, go up to there. Or into the PCM, I don't know. So, I'll have to look up some wiring diagrams and stuff. We'll have to do some more involved testing. Well, actually, I could use the multimeter, and I could test right now if that wire is that wire. But, we've proven our relay's good. So it's not the relay. We did swap it out, so. That leaves a wiring issue specifically, or probably this PCM. Which we can talk to this guy. He's not completely bricked. It's working enough I can talk to him. But it might not hurt to get a PCM on order. I think I can get a reman one for like $100. And a fuel pump on order. Okay, so what I've done is I pulled the coil wire out. I set it like this. We should hear it or see it jump when I activate this. We can hear the ASD relay clicking. But we are not getting anything out of the coil, which we knew that. But now we've done and verified this again with the computer. Now what we could do is get a multimeter on here and see what happens when we do that. So we're gonna hook this back up, which these wires kind of suck, by the way, so it's almost easier to plug the wire in and then put the boot back over. So if I get a multimeter out here, flip this bad boy onto volts, and set DC. Let's go plug this guy into the negative over here, or try. Okay, boom, we should be negative. What we need to do is now get the positive, which is down here, and hook him in to here. Positive is that one right there for reference. So we're showing 3.73 volts, which is probably right considering this is going dead, but if we see that? It drops voltage when I do that. Why do I hear? What else do I hear? Something else when I do that. When I do that, I'm hearing something else click. Am I hearing the fuel pump? I swear to God. Let me... Fuel pump. Can I trigger that? Did the damn fuel pump start coming back? That would be crazy. I swear I'm hearing something click. If I do this, this might... Yeah, fuel pump. Come back here. It is. Hear that thump? I think that's the fuel pump trying to kick on. Dear God. I'm pretty sure it is. It is. Holy shit. You poor thing. Oh my God, it's trying to kick the fuel pump on. Oh, you poor thing. I should probably unplug that. Yeah, watch this. I bet you it stops clicking if I do this. Yep. Oh my God, that poor fuel pump. So this all works, by the way. We've now just learned that that works. Oh, look at my beautiful brake lines. Holy crap, the fuel pump's trying to... Granted, it's not doing anything, but... He's stumping. Which means the ASD circuit is all working, by the way. That's what that means, is that circuit's working. Because it's trying to kick the fuel pump on. Oh, I just caught my coat on something. Great. And now I don't hear it. No, I do hear it. If you notice, the voltage has dropped going to the coil here, by the way. So we deactivated. We're only showing 1.5 volts. I could be going dead here too, by the way. Yeah, we're showing 11 volts, but we should be showing a little more than that with 11 volts. So, that poor fuel pump is kicking on. That's insane. Or trying to. I can hear it thumping. But, we're not getting voltage to the coil. Let me do some little research. I'm thinking our ASD relay is working, which it seems to be because it's working enough to kick the pump on. Well, if the relay circuit's working, then this is probably working. I might have to just run a jumper wire or something too. I'll have to figure out wiring diagrams. I'll let you know what I find out. How about that? So I'm done for the day. We just put in a couple hours of work finally on this van again, and we have got it to crank over for the first time in 20 odd years. So that's cool. And it built oil pressure. We changed the oil. The transmission pump is working. Clearly, I tightened that up. It hasn't leaked since I tightened it up again. But that is working. So that's good. That's good news for the transmission and the engine. So the only circuit I could tell, like the only code we got from that is the idle air control valve, which should be this little guy down here. This little guy is pissed for one reason or another. So cool, I guess. Anyway, I'm going to go charge up the batteries overnight, charge up the jump pack. So we'll have, good 12 volts next time we come out here. Otherwise, we're looking good. Things are coming back to life. I think this thing's got a fighting shot. Considering that old-ass fuel pump wants to click. That's cool. I got to get a fuel pump on order. For sure, I'll just order the fuel pump. I'll wait on the computer until maybe I'll do some research first, and we'll see if we need to order that or not. But oh my gosh, That is crazy. The engine sounds healthy. As long as we have it in time, which it should well be in time, it sounds good. Okay, so it's the next day, and I've had some time, and I looked over some diagrams here in this book, and I think I know what's going on. And my hunch was pretty well spot on. But we also made a stop today, and we have this. And this is a fuel pump from a 92 Caravan, I believe, based on the VIN tag here. That's who it's from, right there. Anyway, it's also from Kevin's van, I realized when I looked at it. But we open this thing up here, and they left their little hook on it. Whoops. They probably wanted that. Whatever. So I believe this thing's been on the shelf for a while because the name on this frickin' tag doesn't even match the current name of the junkyard. They actually changed the name a couple years ago, so this has been on the shelf for a long frickin' time. Anyway, we have a bag, and as I terribly pull this out here, we have fuel pump, and they even gave me the locking ring. Oh, how kind of them. But no seal. The seal stayed with the tank, I guess. Whatever. Hopefully our seal's good. Anyway, this is, yeah, Kevin's van. That's funny. Anyway, it's a fuel pump. There's two different types, the 3-pin and the 5-pin, I guess. I went with 3-pin. Also, I think this is an aftermarket fuel pump. I can tell by the shiny way it is. So that might be a good thing. It might be a lower mile pump. So it looks pretty good. Not too bad anyway. It was tested working, so I believe that. So we have a fuel pump in the event we get far enough that we can use it. Yeah, see the aftermarket hose clamps on there? Even though it's probably, it looks like OEM line. It's aftermarket clamps. So, but this OEM line is actually really pliable still, which is crazy. Nice. Anyway, so we have fuel pump in the event we need it. Now, let's go to page 8W68, which is wiring diagram ASHK 17 in the 91 service manual. Electronic fuel injection ignition system 3.0 liter V6. This right here tells us a lot. So, actually, let's jump forward a page to diagram 19, ignition system. So, this is where we start here. So we're starting back here at the ASD relay, right here. This is our guy. So we're getting, what is this? Yeah, so we're getting signal from the computer here into this relay. And we're also getting a switch here. Here's the fusible link going to the charging system. Right here, here's our hot coming in. And then we are getting, this goes to the computer. It looks like diagnostic connector. And then to the controller. So, but that's none of the important stuff. What we have here is all of that stuff just triggers the relay, makes the relay work. Cool. Great. That's great. And then obviously this one goes out to the computer as well. What we're looking at here is A61 dark green black. Remember that cable we were looking at yesterday that had battery voltage coming off of it? That is the cable or wire that I thought was our signal wire and power wire to the coil off of the ASD relay. And if you look here, that goes to splice A61C diagram 17. So cool. We'll go back to that in a second. Now, if we pop over to here, so this says go to A61 splice. That splice is going to be important. Now I jump over here. Hey, look, ignition coil. Here's our little plug here. Look at that, A61 dark green black. That same cable, that's our power. That's our hot coming in. Now, if we look right here, it comes off of this right here. Here's the ignition coil. Here's the positive, goes to A61 dark green black to A61 splice. Right there. So we're getting battery voltage off of here to the splice, but we're not getting battery voltage through here like we should. So that brings us back over to 17. So let's take a look here and let's go look for A61 splice. Boom, A61. So what we have here is we have A61 coming from the ASD relay going to here. We have one that goes out to the fuel pump motor. Boom. We also have one that goes to pin 8 on the engine computer. We also have one that goes to this plug to the rear of the battery, which then goes to here. But it also, right here, if you look right here, here's the pin. Actually, so here's A61 right here to this plug, to this pin, to here, to the ignition coil. But it looks like it also splits here somewhere, because it goes to this pin right here, whatever this is. Is this the fuel injector wire or plug? But if you look, it goes here to the ignition coil, here to the O2 sensor. This A61 goes frickin' everywhere. So that's what I'm saying, is we need to start looking at that circuit, and if we can tap into that circuit and jump it over to the coil, at least to get it to run. Because if you look here on all the injectors, A61, 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 all of the injectors are on A61. All of them. A61 is a very important wire coming off the ASD relay, which makes sense. So we have something wrong with that wire, which is why we're not getting spark, is what I'm trying to get at here. So we need to look really, 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 really closely at A61 and figure out why. So I am going to go out and I'm going to fiddle around with looking at it and seeing what I can find. I'm going to probe around with the multimeter, you know, check continuity and this, that, and the other. And I'll bring you back when we figure something out. Note how I bought a fuel pump. And I went and I got one from a boneyard. I am semi-confident that I can get spark. And if we can get spark, we need fuel. And to get fuel, we need a fuel pump. See what I'm getting at here? I'm also going to go find, I have another wire harness, and I think I might unplug that little like square connector, plug into that, and plug this pump into that, and see if the pump will function. Because we can just stick that pump in a tank to get it to work, so that would be something worth checking to see if at least maybe A61's good to here and good out to here. I don't know. Worth testing. So anyway, I'm going to do some wiring diagnosis and work, and I'll bring you back if I find anything good. All right, I cleaned up the workspace a little bit. Got me a quality of life upgrade. A table! This has been sitting outside beside the shed for a while. Actually, I think it was for my brother, and he didn't take it, so it's mine now. Thanks. Anyway, it's like 45 degrees out today, and it's January still. Anyway, ran that thing for a bit. It's warm in here. It should kind of hold the temperature-ish, and I mean, I'm wearing 3 layers, so we're good anyway. So I'm gonna get to work here. I got a battery. I charged that overnight. It's good enough for now. Good enough for what we're doing. So I'm gonna do some searching for that dark green black, which is this guy right here. Also, there's a broken wire right here. How did I miss that? See that? What is that? And why is it broke? How did I wrap that up and not see that? Look at that. What is this? Yo. That's not the cable that connects to that, is it? Okay. I didn't do that good of a job on this harness, I guess, then, if I missed that. So that's cool, I think. What is that plug? Is that a thing? I need to go look and figure out what that is, and then touch that wire to it. Watch that be like a hot for most of the stuff in the van, which is why it doesn't work. That'd be funny. What's this wire right here? Is that for that? No, because this is hooked up, right? But is that still that? It could be. I don't know. Okay, I don't know anything. That's really weird that I just left that like that. How did I miss that? I missed it, clearly. Anyway, wiring, stuff, things. I will bring you back soon. Like I said, 4, 5, 6 times. I don't know. Multimeter says that's 12 volt hot. Bruh. So when I stripped this wire back and we did this, but before I hooked the hot, well, I hooked the hot and then kind of touched it and it arced like it's something's drawing power off of that. And so I didn't look at a wire diagram, but I looked at a reference wiring harness and it sure looked like the red black from right here plugged into that. So somehow we lost that pigtail and it got unhooked. So anyway, that 12 volt feeds something. That's 12 volt with key off. So that's all-time power. So guess what? The dome lights are on. The dome lights are on, or that dome light is on because this door is open. That's cab power, is what that was. Turn the dimmer off. That works. So, we gain power to things. There's the door dinger with the key in and off. Frickin' radio turned on. Okay, we didn't gain those. Okay, let me flip that off for you. Yep, we got dome lights. Yep, frickin' dome light. We have a radio. Do we try it now? So now we just gained a bunch of interior stuff. Oh no. Oh my God, a Chrysler radio that works? No. Did I lose that one speaker that was coming in? Nope, there it is. No way. Do I have to shut it off to? Okay, we've got no signal. That's kind of weird how the tuning is. Something's funny with that. If you notice that I have to shut it off, turn it back on. But let's go to something that would probably come in. Kind of hear it. Maybe that station. My God. Frickin' radio works. So they're all... I don't know why it does this, but... Oh, it's set front to rear. So all the way rear, all the way front. Oh, we got front speakers. Front left. Oh, front and rear. Left. So we got a left front and a right rear. Can I get a station? Try that station. I love how it like quits every time I do that. So something's not right, clearly. Oh my God. We got 4 speakers. Oh my God. Okay, so both of the power mirrors work, but this right button is stuck down. So they both work. So the power mirrors work, radio works. Dare I hit the wiper? Oh, right, that's right. I heard it click a relay. I hear it clicking things now, so that's interesting. That's new. That still doesn't work. Oh! Ah! Hey, does this work? I didn't think so. I don't think that's hooked up. Or the relay or fuse isn't in, but the power trunk unlock works. No hatch lights though. Oh, we have power things. It's so good. Dimmer on the radio and the dash all works. Does it still turn over? Yep. Good, we get good battery voltage too. Maybe for a heck of it, now that we hooked that up, that isn't going to fix it, I don't think, but do we check to make sure we don't have sparks still, you know? What are the odds? You know, still don't have power up here to this thing. It does, well, it does work on this, but some of this stuff doesn't work. But we have things. We have a radio. Does this have a dome light? I don't see one. No. There's a light here, but it doesn't work. Nope. Freaking.
And he has become one of the biggest stars.
Hey. Set some stations here. Oh, hey, did you see that? Now it came back after we tuned it. Oh, it's starting to work. I think the radio's warming up. Yeah, it's starting to work. Let's go to like... It's starting to work. It's starting to warm up. That's freaking cool. Hey, does this work? We shall find out.
With the customer is our top priority. Along with
But yeah, all 4 speakers work. That's crazy.
Before and after the sale
Come on, Pop.
pressure washers and other commercial shop equipment. Check us out online. Express Pressure Washers, driven by service, supported by sales.
Oh, it does. And that's like never been used. I can feel the heat coming off of that thing.
Partly cloudy and breezy tonight, low in the mid-20s.
Wow.
A mix of sun and clouds tomorrow.
So we got 12-volt power into the car now.
To the upper 40s with sunshine Thursday. Temps stay above average but cool into the 30s for the rest of the week with snow chances into this weekend. Bathroom remodels only $99 a month at BCI.
I can hear that working now.
800-329-4115. Right now,
I can hear the controller clicking for the cruise. Dude, the cruise is going to work. Can you hear it? So the cruise works. Horn really works now. That came back to life. Does this have... No, it doesn't. It's just got the dummy mirrors. What else? I don't think there's much else to test in here. It's a pretty basic van. Does the throttle pedal work? Yeah, it's a little sticky, but it does work. Clearly the brake pedal works. We tested that. Got brake lights still. They don't do anything, but it works. Washer fluid works. Oil, that all works. This is freaking crazy. So I can't believe I found that. That was dumb. That was really dumb. I don't know how I missed that. I'm just lucky I didn't tape it all the way up. That was really dumb. So I'll have to get a hold of a connector to actually like do that right, because, you know, that's a great connection right there. But how the... well, to be fair, that's the only connector that wasn't hooked up. So besides the AC stuff and these, which is that. So, but that's 12-volt cab power. So interesting. That was really funny. Anyway, I'm going to go around. I'm going to check for 12 volts there again now that we're here. And back to work. But that's cool. All the stuff and things work now. Even the radio works. Okay, I did turn the dimmer off. Turn the dome lights down. Oh my god. Guess who's got 12 volts to the coil after we hook that up? No, that's just 1.2. Damn it! No! I saw 12.5 and I was like, oh my god. Damn it. Fuck. Oh, I was so happy. I turned the record button on and it says 1.2. So, problem not fixed. No! Okay, so we figured out some things here. a little bit here. So I'm probing wires here, and I'm checking for continuity, and then we're checking for voltage. So we get nothing here until we crank, and then we get battery voltage cranking. That makes sense. You know, you're not getting voltage to your coil until you're cranking. I don't know why we're getting 1 volt through that wire on the coil side right now. I don't know why, to be fair. Anyway, that might be just residual flow through the system because the whole thing's hooked up. Anyway, we're coming down here, and we're on this black connector right here. We're on that pin right here. That pin shows 0 resistance from here to there. And when I go to crank, I get battery voltage right there on crank. And I can prove that to you right now. We're showing no voltage right now. And let me roll this window down for ease of access. God, that rolls like butter. Anyway, we go to crank. 10.5 volts, which is pretty good for cranking, especially with that battery. Anyway, so that means we're getting voltage here. But when we go to hook to there, when we go to crank, we have no change in voltage when we hook this back in. So, however, we also show 0 volts on that with this unplugged, but when we plug it in, we see 1 volt on there. Interesting, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probe that positive wire back to this connector and see which wire it is in there, just to make sure it's the same one, which it should be that wire right there because that's the wire coming off of here, which goes to there. Anyway, the splice has got to be in here, and it's got to be good. I think the splice is okay because we're getting battery voltage to there. We heard the fuel pump kind of click off. We're also getting an O2 sense in the computer when we had the computer hooked up, so that's working. The thing I don't think we have is injector pulse and the power to the coil, which is in that chunk of harness here to here. So I'm going to start plugging around in that harness and see what we can find. So I think we're in this harness here, I think is the issue. I think the main harness is actually okay, believe it or not. Besides that, which we fixed. That's fixed. Permanent. A little bit of E-tape. Mwah. So I think we're getting close here. At least to get power to the coil to get spark. Now, I don't know about fuel injectors or whatever, but that's down the road a little bit. Or down the cinder block path. This isn't even cinder blocks. What are these? Pavers. They're pavers. I don't know. Various kinds of pavers. Which is beautiful. I bought half of these, which cost me way too much, by the way. This cost a lot to get this far. And then these are... I found these on the side of the road. Like, during, like, garage sailing days. It was, like, free grab them, so I did. And then, obviously, we've got wood and other pavers that I found. And, yeah, there's a whole pile of those. I don't know where those came. I can't remember where we got those. And then various pieces of scrap wood. It's great. Isn't it nice? Anyway, we're going to get back to work. I'm going to actually crank the heater on. It's cooled off in here again, finally. There might be a small leak right there. Maybe one right there in the door, too. The door seal needs a little work. But other than that, it's, you know, completely sealed. Completely sealed. Load-bearing bricks. Completely sealed. You know, it's insulated, too. See that insulation right here and all along and all in here? That's all insulation. That's insulation, too. You know. She's moi. Insulation garbage bin. Anyway, I'm going to start probing those wires. I'll probably bring you back in a minute here when I figure out what wire is what on that connector. So, I think we're onto something. Okay, so I did not find it on the pin I figured I would until... Okay, anyway, long story short, we're going to jump ahead here. We're on, I think, the pin that it should be. We're on the positive here, and we're showing a little resistance. Let's go to the negative. Why is it connected? No resistance. Did you see that? Here we go. Now we're showing a little bit of resistance, but why? Are you guys catching on? Are you guys catching on? That's where the voltage is going. It's going to ground. So I was probing. See, if you notice here, we're in the other plug here. Because when I was in the plug that I thought was the plug because it was showing voltage, it was on the different pin, and it was on the gray pin. And I'm like, wait, that's the gray pin. Wait, why does that have voltage? And so then I found the right pin, and the right pin that is showing 12 volts here is also, you know, up there. So, interesting. Anyway, I'm going to try for cranking voltage on the bottom pin, because I think it's actually this pin down here, and we were on the wrong pin the whole time, which is why we couldn't find it. Anyway, we're on the wrong pin because we're getting voltage to the ground, which I don't think is correct. Anyway, we're here, and we're going to go here, and then we're going to go here, and we're going to go here, and we're going to go crank it, and then we should see voltage there. And so then it works until we hook it up, because when we hook it up, we're getting power through both sides, which is weird, and the coil doesn't like it, and therefore the coil doesn't work. That's my hunch. We are getting battery power to the coil. However, we are also getting voltage to the ground. So, right? So let's go look here. Let's go look at ignition coil here. This right here. So, yeah, look. I would have caught this earlier. We were in this pin right here, which is K19, and we should have been in this pin. We are showing 1 volt on that pin, which is why we didn't think we had voltage. We have 10 volts, or battery voltage, 10 because it's cranking. Anyway, we have battery voltage to the coil. We, however, have voltage on the other side. So, let's go look at K19. K19 goes to black, goes to this pin. K19 goes to engine controller. So, what is K19? It goes right back to the computer. Should that have voltage? I would think that it should have ground. To make sense on an ignition coil, you have power and ground. However, it goes back to the computer, and the computer probably... Oh, God. So, that's telling me something might be wrong with the computer. If we're getting battery voltage to the coil, and we're getting voltage on the computer... Yeah, it's the negative on the coil. It says it right here. It says it right there. So... something is wrong with the computer is what that tells me, because that should be a ground and instead it's volts. I think we figured that out just now. I think that is our problem, that we are showing voltage on number 19 when we should see ground. And it's gray, and that's the color. I'm betting you that's what it is. Our whole thing is fine, you know, on our A61 circuit, our ASD circuit, if you want to call it that. But we are showing power on the ground. So, dang it. That would make sense. That would freaking make sense. That means I gotta wait for a computer, and that means I can't do anything else, and that means I'm sad. No. Well, I think that pretty much settles that. So if we look here, that is going to be that pin right there. Number 19, I believe. If you look, is this numbered? Some of them are numbered, some of them are not. Well, let's go look at the diagram. So we're, you know, top right here, and we're second pin in. So if we look right here, so the tab's on the bottom, and we look long tab, short tab. Let's go look. Short tab, they're the same. I don't know what the frick they're talking about, but if we're looking at it, oh, it's like that. That's how they're, so it would be top left, which, looking in, top left, number 19. Number 19 is ignition coil signal wire. And we're seeing continuity to there. That means that wire's good. I did touch it to the positive here, touched it here. We're not getting any overlap signal. There's nothing. It is completely dead everywhere else. So we're on that wire over here. Notice here, nothing. We touch this, nothing. Nothing. It's not bleeding over anywhere. So the last thing I can do is finagle this stupid thing off of here and get in on that wire here and see if we see the... I could cut the wire here and see if we see a pulse. I'm not going to do that. This is bad. We know that for a fact. We tested that wire is good all the way through this harness. Last thing we can do is plug back in and then verify continuity all the way to the coil from the computer to the signal wire. So hook this guy up here and we'll go in to that guy right there. And then we will go into pin number 19. Oh, I fell out over there. Let's get that one in. And this connector is kind of a little loose, so. Anyway. Am I hooked all the way in? Come on. Do your thing. There might be a little resistance, actually. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. There is some resistance that was not present before. Hold on a minute. So there isn't resistance from here to here with it unhooked, and there isn't resistance from here to here with it unhooked. But if we hook it up, there's resistance. Hold on a minute now. We're in the right pin, right? Yeah. Oh. So, maybe we do have a wiring problem after all. So, let's pull the connector off. What did I do? I didn't even do anything. This guy's pretty loose in here. We need to, like, I'm gonna, like, crimp that connector, push it down a little bit, get this locked in here. We might have an issue in this plug where when it's hooked up, there's something wrong where it will cross power over, but when it's unhooked, we don't. Okay, that's why you test everything. Well, hang on a minute. Yeah, so I show zero resistance going from the coil plug to that plug. I show zero resistance going from here to here. Why do we have resistance inside that plug? There's something wrong in this plug. On one of the two sides, there's something wrong in the plug. Okay, not rule you out yet. But here's the thing. Shouldn't I have been seeing a ground pulse? Did I check that? Did I test that? I thought I tested ground pulse from there. I shouldn't see that kind of resistance between that plug. There's something wrong in that plug. Let's fix that first, and then we'll see if it works. Okay. So, not out of the woods yet. And if it saw voltage from something in here, it would cause this to not work. That makes sense. Okay, we're not screwed yet. Trying to diagnose this crappy wiring harness. Great. That might have been me probing it. I bent the pin back, and now I've got no resistance from the computer all the way to the coil. So, if we hook the computer back up, hook power back up, let's see what happens, and we'll go from there. So, get this guy in real quick. I'll do it live here with you. Now I gotta try finagle this stupid plug here that's freaking bent to heck because of all this splicing inside of here that apparently is good. Or something. I don't know. Maybe it's not good, and maybe that's why the computer's pissed. But I would think it wouldn't work at all. Like, I couldn't talk to it if it wasn't working right. But who knows? Let's get a different computer in, I think, if this doesn't fix it right now. And, then prove that with a known good computer, quote unquote, that we get the same problem. And then the problem is, not that I'm not looking either. Finding a 91 3.0 liter Dodge Caravan with a 3-speed is kind of a little bit of a unicorn up here. So finding this harness, because I found other 3Ls, we know that, but they changed all the wiring going, 93, 94, 95. I think I can do 91 and 92. I think it's the only wiring that's compatible with this van before they changed a bunch of crap. So it's kind of a little bit of a unicorn. So, I will continue to look, but yeah, so we're seeing 12 volts crank, or not 12, we're seeing like 8 volts cranking when we hook the ground to here. But when we hook the ground to here, we don't see anything. So, but what I also don't see is when we hook positive to the ground and we do this, what I'm not seeing is that 1 volt anymore. We're actually showing a ground. See if we're showing negative. Huh. I'm just going to plug it in. I'm going to see if there's spark. Okay, yep, I'm going to diagnose that as dead. However, we did recover with the scanner the part number off of that computer. Not that we necessarily need it, but it might help in aiding with, or help or aid with finding one to replace it with. So we need a 91 3.0 liter V6 engine computer. That's what we need. Yep, so we'll get that. That'll probably take a week to come in. And once we get back, we'll just plug it in and see if it comes to life, spark-wise. I did test for spark right off the coil. I took a plug wire right off the coil, plugged it in. Nothing. We're not getting the pulse ground from the engine computer to fire off the coil. And I also almost guarantee that that same sort of concept off the engine computer is also not firing the injectors. Because I don't hear them clicking. And those are brand new injectors and they're empty. They should make some noise. We should hear those click. Those are brand new injectors. So I don't hear any of that. However, we verified our wiring is good, believe it or not. That's nice. We also fixed the hot to the cabin. All right, so we just got our new to us engine computer in for the 91 Caravan. It's off a 91 Voyager. It is a 3.0. There's a VIN number on there for the old van that it came off of. So, looking okay. It's got writing on it. There's our sticker that's up. Yeah, that's right side up. First thing I noticed, it's really, really dusty. So I'll have to get some contact cleaner and clean this thing up. I'll probably pop this case off and try to clean it up a little bit. But, well, I don't know if I want to get it on that gel. I might just leave well enough alone and just clean that up real good. Otherwise, I think we'll go put some winter clothing on. We will put this in and we will see what happens. Hopefully we have spark. Okay, new computer is in. I got a plug wire out here. I figure coil's hooked up. We're all hooked up down here, I think. Yeah, we're all hooked up in regards to everything else. I think if we just hook it up, we'll see. I think we'll know if we see a check engine light on the cluster when we turn the key on. Because I'm pretty sure we didn't have that, and I'm pretty sure we're supposed to. So, we're going to say that those connections are okay. And let's just cross our fingers. How about that? Door dinger, anyway. Okay, what do we got in here? Hey, look, check engine light. See that? We didn't have that before. Okay, that's a new light, and it clicked off. So I'm going to watch. Can you see it? I don't know, can you see? I'm going to roll the window down. We're going to do the same thing we did before. And I'll crank it from out here. But I think we're in business. Can you see? I can't tell if there's spark. Yeah, I can't tell. How am I gonna do this? Sounds good cranking over still. how do we... I don't know if that's even a good ground, to be honest. And who knows if any of this is good. We're just, you know, going right off this coil, the mystery coil here. That's the original coil to the vehicle. That we should see that. I should probably hear it, to be honest with you. So I've done some fiddling around. I plugged this guy in just to see if we could see a little more data. I did notice we can see the throttle position now, and the IAC engine code is gone. So we don't have that problem anymore. Actually, we have no codes. I can talk to this machine just the same. I can see RPM, so the sensors, you know, the crank sensor, that's all working. That would tell this thing when to, you know, fire sparks. So it knows. I'm seeing 12 volts at the coil under cranking, or 10 or whatever, because it's cranking voltage. But we're seeing that, and then it clicks off. I couldn't... See, I'm not really seeing the pulsing ground, but I don't know if I'm testing it right and or if my multimeter is doing it right. Okay, we have battery. Fuel pump is hooked up. We should, 1, hear that fuel pump. 2, I think we should get a full or something. Okay, let's look at that. Did you hear that? 1, we heard the pump. 2, we have a gauge. So, that's all working. I wonder if we move this, if it'll mark as full. Yeah, look at that. So that all seems to be working. Yep, it's going, it's going, it's going. Should be full. I pushed it all the way up. Look at that. So that all works. We just verified all of that works. Now, what I want to do is I have a test light here somewhere. I had a test light. There it is under there. So what we're going to do is we should see pulsing ground. I thought I tried this with my multimeter, but I don't think it's quick enough. So we're going to hook this up to the coil, and I'm going to hook obviously the light to one side and then the ground to the pulsing signal. And we should, in theory, see this flicker on and off if we're getting spark to the coil. If we see that, we know it's foobar past that, which is possible. But I want to test that. I want to see if it works with this. Otherwise, if it doesn't, I know we're getting 12 volts to the coil. We have to work our way back to that signal. Now, the other reason I want to say it's not like the crank sensor, which is in the dizzy here, is because when I look at the computer, it shows me engine RPM, which tells me that that's all working. Also, I think if this wasn't working, we wouldn't get an ASD relay at all. I don't think that would even trigger. So we wouldn't hear a fuel pump, we wouldn't hear anything, but we get that, so that is working. We just verified it's working, so I'm going to hook this up. It's going to be a pain because this is a clip, so what I'm going to do is find something to stick into the connector to clip this to, and then we'll test this and we'll go from there. We might have a bad distributor as I am doing some testing here. So we're testing down here, and what we're testing is the crank cam sensors. So I think one of them is on the black with a blue stripe, and I'm supposed to have constant power, which I do. And then when I crank the engine over by hand, it should flicker on and off. It doesn't. And then we tested the cam, I think, which is this tan with the yellow stripe, and that has no power. The test says it should, but I'm reading an online test. I need to go grab the service manual and verify that these tests are correct or not. But it does flicker when I crank it over, and I can hear the fuel pump kicking on and off, so something's doing something. But the first test, which is on the black and blue, it does not flicker when I spin the engine over by hand. So perhaps we do have a problem here. I'm going to pop the cap off, and I'm just going to look and make sure it's all spinning properly and everything. But I might have to get a dizzy on order. That seems to be the most conclusive thing I've seen here. We're getting no ground pulse. We're getting fuel pump. ASD relay all seems to be working. it kicks in when I unplug and plug this in, so it senses the power and ground of this thing, which is good, I guess, but the signal wires appear to not be doing what they should based on what I'm reading. And that is original to the van, and perhaps it got messed up when the timing belt blew. I don't know, it shouldn't have, but who knows. I'm going to pop this cap off, and we'll see what's happening. What? You mean this terrible, ugly, corroded, gross-looking coil could possibly be bad? That's crazy. So it does spin, so clearly the gearing and everything is good. Our timing belt is still present. It does the spin thing. But that's suspect, I suppose. You think we'll be able to pop that off, or do we just pop it off that way? I don't know. I've never had one out before. I guess we'll find out. Okay, I got that bolt out. It's a 12 millimeter as always. And I've been hitting it with a sledge, which I'm sure you're not supposed to do. But I've got it so it kind of wants to rotate. Now I just probably need to rotate it back and forth, and I bet you it'll come up. I'll get one up and ordered. I probably should have done that before. I'll probably order a new set of wires, strictly because I do not like these wires. They are cheap, crappy wires. And the boots don't like to stay where they should be. I'll order a set of wires. Might as well just order I mean, that cap looks pretty freaking, well, so that one looks really bad. This is off that junkyard motor. I don't know, I did pay next to nothing for it. Probably should just order a cap and everything too. Probably should order, well, the new coil probably comes with a rotor, so we'll get a new cap, rotor, coil, wires, and then we'll go from there. Oh, yeah, I'm doing all this, and, well, in theory, I guess I'm like, well, it could be the wire harness. No, because we test the wire. So we had power going to it, and the signal is coming from the coil in theory. Well, no, because it could be grounding it. But we had constant power, so it wasn't grounding it out, which means this isn't, yeah, I think this is the problem. I truly think that's the problem. Well, possibly. It's the best lead I've had so far, besides the fact that the wire harness is obviously bad, but I'm ignoring that because I can't get my hands on one. Trust me, I am still looking. I haven't been able to find a 9130 harness without the transmission. You know, I haven't found a 9130 harness, period. So, yeah, you know, that's great. So I'm still looking, though. And with a little bit of persuasion, we do have this bad boy out. So I see lots of oil down there, which is a very good sign. So everything's looking good here. Obviously, we got the gear, we got an O-ring here, and we've got this. And then all of our sensors and goodness is inside of here, where I'm betting you this is bad. It's kind of obvious now. I'm thinking this is the way it's super corroded here. I see corrosion at where it goes into the thing. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was probably an obvious one. Well, we'll see. You know, so we'll get that up on order. We'll get plugs, wire. No, not plugs, but you know what I'm saying. We'll get all of the goodness on order. Try not to get stuff down there. There's a little bit of corrosion that was in here. I don't know how it needs to be set for timing. I have no idea, to be honest. Guess we'll have to read up on that, but that's out. So cool. Okay, it's dissection time. So I cut the heads off those little nuts. I'd like to pull this apart, but I think I got to get the cap off, which I think is stuck on here, by the way. So I'll have to get this off quick, and then we'll be able to get this off to look inside. Okay, so we got this apart. It's just one 8mm nut to get the rotor off. So if we notice in here, there's definitely a lot of corrosion. I don't see anything immediately wrong, but this, we don't know. I'm going to take this off next. This could be the one that was working, but it looks like it's got a bunch of little marks, and then, you know, one little blank spot, and then a bunch of marks. So I don't know. I definitely see corrosion has gotten in here for sure, but we'll see as we dig into it a little more. We're just doing this just to see, and I've never had one of these apart, so here you go. So taking this out revealed nothing but wires, so don't undo that and don't pull on that, because it looks like it stays behind. So I got one of these out, and then I just had to drill these two out, so we'll see if I can pry this piece off down here. There's a hidden screw in the center here of the shaft. So we got to get him out too, I think. And then pull that up, and this will let this all come up. I think they call this destructive testing. So anyway, I'm going to see if we got this vice grip on here. And we'll see if we can Crack. Oh, come on. Why does nothing want to come loose on this Dizzy? Oh, wait, because it's corroded as hell. Okay, definitely a lot of corrosion in here. But everything looks, status quo. So here's where these go. And those 4 wires go up into this guy, which go into this thing. And then 2 must ground into that pad, which I don't know goes over to this pad. I don't know. I have no idea how this works, actually. So, anyway, it is corroded as heck. We're not going to take any chances. We'll just replace it. So, yeah, I guess this goes on, like that. And then we have, what did this sat over all of this. Yeah, I'm not sure how that works. I don't know, does this detect it somehow? Because this sits like that. And then this spins, but none of this stuff spins. So I don't know how that sensor in there works, to be honest with you. But I'm going to say that it's not working. We're going to go with that. Call that good. We're going to order a new one. But now we know how this is, I guess. Okay, so it's been a while. We do have a box here with some fancy new parts in it. So we got a new set of wires here. This box looks like it's straight out of the 90s or early 2000s, so that's cool. Anyway, got a set of plug wires. Hopefully they're better than those crappy wires that are on that set right there. I grabbed some assembly lube for the purpose of installing our brand new distributor. Now, I'm smart. You guys all know that. And that I didn't pay attention to when I just took the distributor out. But luckily for me also, I recorded, it, so I know where it was at. What's funny is I do believe that it was just around number 1 TDC, which is funny. So I see a timing mark there. It's just past that. And our cap was pointed back, or our rotor was pointed back this way. And that's where number 1 is. So, funny enough, I do believe we were at number 1 TDC on compression because that's where it was all set up. So somehow I got lucky. Now, what I should do is I should move that back to number 1 TDC on that timing mark just to do it the right way. That's probably what I will do, now that we can tell that that's exactly how we are set up, is number 1 TDC. Which is funny. I don't know how I got that lucky, but that's how that works. But the theory is here, if, let's say you take your Dizzy out, you don't know where it was at, or you rotated the engine after it was out, it's not the biggest deal in the world. All you got to do is get your engine so you're at number 1 TDC on compression stroke. Now, that's not so difficult to do. You just got to rotate the engine until number 1 is coming up 1, and then 2, you've got compression in the cylinder. Now, there's a few ways to do that. I'm not going to explain how to do that because, 1, I'm not well versed in it. 2, there's people on the internet that do have a couple of good methods. However, we know for a fact that we are on the number 1 TDC stroke 1 because our rotor was pointed back at number 1 on the cap. And 2, our timing mark is lined up. So that should, by all intents and purposes, put us where we need to be. Because it was going to fire when we were at number 1. So, right? That makes sense to me. So what I should do is probably just back that guy up. See, there's a little notch right here, and he should line up with this guy right here. Actually, there's some marks on there that I should clean off so I can read the timing on it. I think there's, some marks on that flat plate, and so I should probably clean that off so I can read them. And then we will get it lined up with those, or wherever, number 1 TDC is 0 degrees, top dead center. And I believe you set the rotor cap, or like the rotor, so it's just after. And then I think it drops in. Anyway, we've also got some witness marks here. So if we align it with those witness marks, in theory, we should be in time. Otherwise, you get it running, get it up to temp, and I think you actually run a timing gun on these still. And then you can fine-tune it. But let's see if we can get it running first. We'll try to get to those marks there. We'll call it good. You can hear the snow hitting this. It's snowing and it's windy and it's great. But I'll go about getting this in. I'll bring you back when we're looking real good. And that will be that. Okay, so I kind of cleaned off down there, and if we do this, that little scratch is 0 degrees TDC. So there's a 0, 5, 10, a 15, and 20 on that little guy. You guys can't read them, but I can. I scratched off the 0 just so you could see it. What we're going to do is we're going to rotate, I believe, this timing mark right here all the way back to 0. And I believe that should rotate our guy back to about here, which is where the number 1 guy is. And that should, in theory, be in time. It should be close enough. How about that? I want to see if we get spark. It should be close enough to do that. So I'm going to rotate that. We'll get it lined up here. We'll get the cap back on, and we should be good to go. I'll replace the wires and stuff, and I'll bring you back. Okay, so I did some referencing of where this is on older footage and where this cap is pointed at and everything. And this seems to be about the closest I can get the Dizzy set in. Either the way the gears mesh, when I set it in, it's either here, or it's all the way over here, or it's all the way back here. And where we're at just past TDC, it's kind of pointed just a hair this way from where it's at. So I don't know if the distributors manufacture just a little differently, but here's the thing. We've got a lot of adjustments. So I'm going to set it right here. Right where I've got it is based on the witness marks where the old distributor sat. So let's rotate this back to TDC. If I go the right way. And that is going to put us... Where's that going to put us here? Oh, a little far. If we reference the new cap, not the old cap, that is going to put us just past number 2, to be honest with you. So to me, I think it's off a cylinder. No? Because I think it should be just after number 1. Based on where it's at. So if we rotate it this way, it's going to kick it over, which not by much, but if we can't really rotate it that way very much. I think we're off a cylinder, to be honest with you. How's the old cap line up? Lines up the same. So I don't know what's up with that. Let me go make sure I'm following the instructions right. I think when we set it down, we want it to be just after number 1 TDC and not just after number 2 like it is. In which case, I'll pick this up and I'll adjust based on us being on TDC right now. I'm dumb. So, actually, it pays to drop your ignition or your distributor cap. So if you look here, number 1 is here, right? And if you look here, we go back to number 1, and we go here. Wait, number 1's not there. It's over here. You know where over here is? Over where it was. Right? So, if we do this, this is where it sits in like this. And we look here. It's all the way on that one right there. Which is all the way the heck over there. So, I think we were definitely on to where it was originally. So, I will go ahead and I will readjust. Because I've been kind of playing with the distributor. See, I couldn't always get it. It just felt like it would never go to where it should be. And that makes sense because it's not where I thought it was because I don't know what I'm doing. So I will fix this and try again. Okay, so this is where we end up, which is right where number 1 is based on this. And so I was doing some thinking on this. And I guess it makes sense. When we did the timing belt, we also rotated the cams to get them to where they should be. And in doing so, I'm sure we put the Dizzy somewhere else, which clearly doesn't help us at all. So it kind of makes sense that it wasn't where it should be. But at the same time, it should have also been sparking. It just should have been sparking completely wrong, right? You know what I'm saying? Like we still should have had spark, and that other distributor looked like crap. So I think this is good that we found that, in that we would not have had, we wouldn't have had the timing right, and it would have been all kinds of funny. I'm looking at this vacuum wire or plug that clearly doesn't fit over that because it's rock hard. Doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. We'll deal with that later. So I think we should be good. Now, we can definitely get some adjustment out of this to get where we want to be. Okay, distributor's all bolted down. Clearly we're far out on the adjustment, but that's, I don't know exactly where it should be without a timing light. We've got it where it's pointed at number 1, which is here. Not here where it's misleading, and I verified that on the internet, and they said that too on the forums, so it's misleading. Anyway, it's plugged in. I've got the coil plugged back in. As far as checking for spark, I suppose we just want to pull this wire back out and do the same thing we did before, huh? Shall we see? I'll let you kind of view it. I don't know. Spark never comes up on camera properly, so... And I can kind of see it. I heard things fall. What did I do? Oh, look. My socket fell off. You know, that's funny. I can see the brake line still vibrating. Why do I keep doing that? I also don't see spark. Okay, color me confused. Why is the green, which is the power for the ASD circuit, A61, why is that short to ground? Or, you know, why do I have continuity to ground on that now? I'm pretty sure we didn't before, and we had 12 volts. Like, that was my 12-volt constant signal earlier. Why is it short to ground now? So we're checking for good ground. So it looked like I had good ground going to the distributor before I turned the key on. I turned the key on, we're only showing 6 volts. So if we go over here and we check our voltage at battery, yeah, we're not getting a good ground. Next wire problem. I will run a new ground cable to the engine computer. Oh, great. I'm going to have a whole wire harness of this. Well, there's your problem. So we're spliced right in. I had to clip this wire. I poked this wire. I could not get, you know, battery voltage. Clip the wire, and guess who's got voltage now? So that is going to provide a, you know, be a problem here. So the ground circuit is bad somewhere in there. I'm sure one of the splices is bad. Who knows? It could be in a number of places. It was bad all the way through, so in theory it's before the first splice, so it's probably bad here, where everything else is probably bad. So I'm going to run a wire straight over there. We're going to bypass everything else. We don't care about any of the other stuff. And we will see if we have spark. Okay, so I just spliced our new wire, and I test this. We have battery voltage at the ground here. We're going to test this pin quick, plug this in, plug the ASD relay back in, and let's see if it works now. All right, you guys ready for it to still not have spark? Okay. Oh, we're key on right now. Okay. Okay. I'm looking. Can you look? Okay, no spark. Oh, because the coil's unplugged. Right, because we were testing that. How about now? Okay, nothing, I don't think. I couldn't see anything. I'm going to test all of this stuff, then we'll go back to testing the coil, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I just did a thing. I threw that wire on the ground right there. I took that wire, I went straight in the back of the relay here. I went straight to 12 volts, and it kicked the fuel pump on. I'm like, I know this is working. I even swapped the relays. And I'm looking here, I'm like, we showed 0 voltage change, like we're not getting voltage here. So I'm like, what the heck happened? Oh my God! No! Oh no! So that might have something to do with it. Oh, I bet you we get cranking voltage now. No. Okay, let's try it. But that ground was bad anyway, so I don't know what to tell you. Saw that we had voltage for a second, and then it went away. Okay, there's voltage there. So we're losing battery power, but how about now? As I plug the coil in. Okay, look at the plug. Does the plug make spark? I don't think so. I definitely didn't see it myself. You piece of crap. I don't know what to say. I thought we might have been getting somewhere, but clearly we didn't make much progress. So what we realized is we didn't have proper power or ground to our, what do you want to call him, distributor. So we fixed that. So in theory, the distributor should work. However, we realized we still weren't getting power to the coil. Then we realized we unplugged it, so we plugged it back in, and then we were getting intermittent power to the coil. And still no ground pulse from what I can see. Anyway, I hacked into the ground pulse, and I pulled right off the computer here, and I'm still not getting a pulse. So what I'm doing is ground into that, and then positive to the light. When that pulses, I should get a flash on the light. We're not getting that. So we're also not getting voltage at the coil anymore, but also my battery is dead. They're dead, so they need to come inside and charge. That's probably not helping us at all, but I still think it would kind of work. The fuel pump kicks on. We swapped the ASD relays again. As you can see, I haven't swapped the computers again. This computer might be okay, surprisingly, but I've got them both here. It doesn't matter. I tried that. I'm gonna charge the batteries, maybe give them a day to charge. This was the last warm day, so I guess I probably won't come back out here. So I'll probably forget everything. So hopefully I remember to look at this footage. I'm gonna kind of just leave everything like this so I can kind of remember where I left off here. I shouldn't need any of this stuff. The book I'll bring back in, but that's fine. So I know it needs a harness. I've said that hopefully a lot. Hopefully you guys understand that I know this harness is bad, but I'm literally using it out of necessity because I can't locate a harness. I gotta start. Well, I can't find anything listed, and I can't find any specific 91 vans available. I need to just start calling around some old salvage yards and just see if they have one, if they'll let me come pull a harness, even if they don't want to do it, because I just need one. Well, it's moving day for this port van again. I need this spot, so it's going to go back in the back garage. So I'm going to get everything cleaned up, put back together here, get a tire on it, and we're going to get this thing rolled out of here. Fortunately, not under its own power. Oh, she's back on 4 feet again. I went and I aired up that tire. Got it just hand snug on there, so it should be good to pull on out of here. Poor old girl. Carrie, we'll get you running eventually. Just gotta find a harness for it. can push this. I don't know how this is gonna go.
One more time. All right. It's up to you.
There she goes.
I'm clearing. I mean, if we got to take the four-wheeler tire to push it in.
Keep going now. You use this. Roll it.
It's all right. Keep her going as long as. Oh. Too old for this. Oh. You got. Oh, you got plenty of room over here. Okay, cut it. Okay, straighten it out.
Alright, good. Stop. Well, there the Durango sits, and there Carrie sits. Carrie's going to be in here for a little while until I can find a harness, but it's up out of the way. We got it tucked in here, so and it's not going to be a problem for now. At least it's out of the weather, I guess, but, you know, I'd say it's out of the mice, but it already smells like it anyway. So that'll be that. It needs a wire harness, so that's the next thing we'll be working on here, I think. It's just I got to find one, so that'll probably be the last update for a little while anyway. I'm going to keep looking, though. Look what we got. Finally, I have acquired a bumper. This was off of that 95 Voyager that we looked at back in late February. I don't know when that video came out, but I just pulled this off today. 2 of the bolts came out. The other 2 I got to break loose far enough that I could get a Sawzall in and cut them off. But that van was really clean, so it gave me the best chance at actually recovering it. Also, it was blue, and also it was the only van there, you know, as far as second gens go. So we've got ourselves a bumper to kind of cover up this. This is a different style bracket than what we use now because it has like a hook here now. So it's a good thing I grabbed I have the brackets right there. I grabbed the brackets for this too. I just knocked the rivets out of it. So these sit like this, and then it hooks into that, as you can see. So what we got to do is self-tapper that in as long as I get it in the right spot, which should be about there. We'll see. I have to cut these. Is this going to fit? Are the short wheelbase bumpers different than the long wheelbase? No, this is off a Shorty Caravan. Yeah, this should fit. It should. It looks wider, doesn't it? Or it's wider up here, yeah, because that's for up here. I don't know what I'm looking at. It's fine. But anyway, yeah, this should sit up probably like here, to be honest with you. But it'll sit in there somewhere. So we'll have to screw those in with some self-tappers, I think. There should be some metal to hit here. It's the wrong color blue. It's lighter. On camera, it actually looks like the right color, but it's not. It's a lighter blue. But on camera, it looks the same. That's actually really funny. It looks the same on camera. So anyway, I got a bumper. I also got, these are brand new front pads and rotors. And then we've also got 2 calipers and hoses that are good. Fluid did pass through them. I squeezed the calipers. The calipers are free. So brand new front brakes for it. We already have rear brakes and everything for it, so we're good. Otherwise, the van had new rears on it too I could have grabbed, but I didn't because I didn't need them, so I left them for somebody else. But, yeah, we have a bumper now to go back on it. It's actually like not rusty either. It's a really nice bumper. But I'll have to get, because what these are, is they're like a, I don't know, what do you call these? It's got the little square tip on them so it locks in place, and then it's got this little, what do you want to call this little nut guy here, that, like an assembly nut is what it is. Anyway, 2 of these spun off, but what happens is they get rusty, and so they spin off and then they seize, and then they break this assembly nut off, and then they push in, and then it spins, so you can never get them out. Anyway, I was able to get in here with a Sawzall and cut them off after I broke them loose enough to get into it. So we got it off. I'll just have to go to the hardware store and get some of those, and then we'll anti-seize them when they go back. I'll probably replace those, get some new assembly nuts, hold them in. Something like that. Or maybe I'll just put a tack weld on them, and then they will never do what they do now. That wouldn't be a bad idea either. Weld them in place. So, but we've got the holes here, so we're all good to go. This is where they bolt in. So I don't know how he got the ones off back whenever he pulled his bumper off of this van in 05 or 06 or who knows, whenever it got pulled. I don't know how he got them off. All I know is these shackles are so rusty. Look at that. That's sketchy. Needs all new leaf springs, new shackles, new everything. And this sucks is the van that I pulled this bumper off has them. The problem at the U-pull is what they do is they set the their little wheel stands. They put them on the leaf springs, so you can't ever pull leaf springs unless you get lucky and they put it on like something else, like I don't know, up on the rail. Once in a while, I've gotten lucky before where they've put them on the rail, but that doesn't happen often enough. And then you got to find one that it happened to that's a good van. So I don't know. I'll have to probably go to like a regular junkyard and have somebody pull them for me. Anyway, I'm rambling here. Here's a little update on Carrie. Carrie's in here. She's sitting. She's got a rear bumper now. Still don't have a harness. I'm gonna be hunting forever. At this point, by the time this is out, hopefully we have a harness. But I'm going to, in the video that should actually come out this weekend, I'm gonna debut Carrie, and we'll go through. Obviously, it's not running yet. You guys know that. You guys know it's not running. But here's where I'm at. It's not running now, but I want to get the videos out. This is how far we got. We're still waiting on parts. We're looking for stuff. I'm going to use you guys because I'm going to actively ask you guys if you guys have any leads on a 91 or a 92 Caravan. So you guys have already seen this. So hopefully by now I have a harness when this video comes out. But we need one. We need one bad. Really, this is a parts van. We need another van. But, you know me, guys. At this point, you know me. I will... What's cool about this one is I own it. That's why we're putting it together, and I'll leave it at that. But we'll get her going, I think. I think she'll run, but we need a harness. We're still looking. It's got a bumper. This is going to make it look like $1 million. One of these days I might come out here and just put it on for, the heck of it. But I just love how it looks perfect on camera right now. It's the light reflection or something. It looks like it matches perfectly, but trust me, that is a light blue and this is a dark blue. Trust me. In person, it even looks wrong, but on camera, it looks the same. Maybe the camera's correcting. It might be like a software thing on the camera on my phone. It might be kind of correcting and guessing because it's like a lower light situation. So it's kind of like these are the same color, but they're not. Perhaps, I don't know. But it'll look a lot better than no bumper. The other thing I noticed is it's not the chrome bumper. See how this one's got the chrome on it? This one would have had that, but this one doesn't, so whatever. Welcome to present day. If you survived that entire video, please let that be known in the comments. I'd love to know who survived that editing, because I barely did myself. There was a lot of pain and suffering that went into diagnosing that harness that I knew was bad, we all knew was bad. I've currently refreshed myself, having watched through all of that just now. And here we are. Carrie got rolled back in here by me and my dad on February 27th. And that's it. That's where she sat. It's here. Things have changed. The Durango is gone. There's a four-wheeler here. As of 2 days ago or 3 or whatever, this week I got my lawnmower running, mulched the yard, got a lawnmower in here now. Lawnmower, meet Carrie. Carrie, meet my old lawnmower. And, and then we got this bumper in here. And I did do something since. You guys didn't show this. What I did here is I got some new carriage bolts. I got new hardware here, and I tack welded those carriage bolts on the backside here. So these are welded in, or I guess on the front. Apparently in here somewhere. They are welded on there, so they can't do the spinny thing like all the bumpers do and cause a problem. So that's all good to go. It's here. It's not put on yet. This stuff is literally not moved since. That has not moved. This has moved and then came back out. I still got, oh, look at this. So these have been out here for 2 months. Well, they can stay right there. That's fine. I do have some goodies for this. Oh, hello, cat. You were just in here? Okay, hi. Not in here, but I got us a cool surprise here, actually. I don't know if it's a surprise, but we have acquired the rear seats for this van, the original rear seats for this van. They were in the back of the red van again that was parked next to this, that if you remember back at the beginning of this. The former owner of that, or the new owner of the red van again, actually saw this video, contacted me, said, hey, I think I have those seats. And then I went down and I got those seats. Very nice guy. So, actually a friend of the guy I bought the van from. So, you know. Anyway, cool guy. Super cool dude. Anyway, so we have the original seats for this van too. They are in storage in the house, safekeeping. Those will come in at some point here when we get back to that. But I still do not have a wire harness for this. And at this point, I am exploring other options. You guys have been very helpful. There's been quite a few of you that have been receptive to this and helped me locate things. There's one up at a U-Pull in Canada. I don't know the logistics of getting it down here, but there is a 3.0 3-speed 91 Caravan in Canada that has the harness we need that was in a wreck. I can't get to that harness. Hopefully, maybe I work something out with the guy that messaged me, but who knows? At this point, what I've thought, I've had a couple ideas. We can get a 3.0 3-speed harness out of a 94, 95 Caravan. I have access to those, and I've been told it won't work. I don't completely trust those answers. I think we could make it work. That is option A-ish. Well, option A, you know what option A was. Option D or F or something. Another option, we can get a 3.0 4-speed harness because that should still run the engine and then adapt it for our 3-speed harness. There's just a lot of extra wires for the 4-speed that we won't need. So those can go away. We can... What? Do you want attention? What? Hi. Let me record. And we will adapt it to work. It should still run the engine, and I think because this is a 3.1TH, it should still work the transmission. We just might not have a speedometer or whatever, and that's okay. So a 3.0 4-speed harness might work for this. But those are also still hard to find for a 91 Caravan. 91 Caravan, hard to find. 92 Caravan, kind of hard to find, at least with a 3.0 in it. Now, the other thing we could do is there's other Chrysler vehicles that had the 3.0. Could we adapt one of those harnesses to work, at least if anything, just to get the van to run and move? You know what I mean? Could we do that? That's another thought. So there's a few options I've got here, and I'm going to continue to explore them. But this van is kind of backburnered. I've got a bunch of other projects that you guys don't even all know about yet that should be coming out soon. We got some more work on Beetroot. There's all kinds of good stuff going on. So stay tuned, stick around. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. This was a diagnosis nightmare. I'll tell you that for sure. But I'm not giving up on the van. I gave up on this harness a long time ago now at this point. But there'll be more on this van. I don't have any answers for you yet. This is literally present day. So you guys will see this tomorrow morning. And that will be that. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for sticking around if you're still here. Oh, one more thing. You guys should join the Facebook group. Cat, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? You're just making noise and being difficult. Anyway, I did finally give in, and I did the Facebook group thing you guys wanted. There's a few of you on there now already. So that's super cool. And then I also have a Facebook page. You guys could follow that too. I might post exclusive pictures and stuff and things I don't post on YouTube. Like I might just take a picture of this and then post it and say new episode tomorrow or something. I don't know. You know, things like that. I think it would be cool if you guys are into that. If not, I don't care. Just keep following YouTube. It's there. But I figured I would point it out for anybody that was interested. So once again, thank you all for watching. I will see you next video, and hopefully we will see Carrie, the 91 Dodge Caravan, again soon.